Hey guys, this is Chodaros, and today's tutorial is super cool. This bracelet is called the LazyLace bracelet, and it was designed by Loomer of Norway. I'd have to say, just off the top of my head, that this has to be the easiest bling bracelet that I've ever made. Like, any newbie could make this bracelet. You are literally adding all of these bands and looping 2 steps out of all of this. I mean, it's insane how easy it is. So it is highly suggested to use thick bands if you have them, because it is such a thin design. The thicker the bands, the more it will kind of fill it in. I used 8mm jump rings in the center. You can use larger if you prefer, but if you do so, you might find the larger the ring, the more it may overlap like that. And if you use smaller ones, you're going to see more of a gap on the inside. And the beads that I chose to use are a 8mm bead, in my opinion, but they do measure out to be a 6mm bead. And the reason I say 8 is because at its thickest, it's larger. Okay, so another suggestion, highly suggested to use LE bands for your bling bands on the outer edges of the bracelet, because when you pull this off the loom, you see that little bit of a curl at the top there and at the bottom? Normally, as usual, when we pull a bracelet off the loom, the bead is not in the position that we want it to be, so we're always having to adjust it. But in this case, Loomer of Norway suggests to keep it down to one side, like that. Now, I have a hard time doing it with mine because my beads move so freely on these bands that they don't want to move back. But you can kind of see right there, that's what gives it that lacy look. Okay, so again, it's just making sure that your bead is just pulled to one side of the band, instead of what we normally do is put that bead in the center. And that will give you that really nice, beautiful, lacy look. So 2 full looms is pretty much exact to my wrist size. So, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I'm super sad because I'm supposed to get a large loom haul, and this is the longest it's ever taken, but I really wanted to use these. Oh, now I'm going to forget. Are they Egyptian white? I'm not sure. I really wanted to use those, but for the border, I like to use the silk white because it's super pretty. And being a lace design, I want it to look like lace as much as I can. Alright, that's normal. We always do that, right? Now, normal for Looming of Norway is you do that and then you stop. So our next step is just to put 2 single chains going up the 2nd and 5th pin bar. So that's pretty standard. We know how to do that. I'm going to do almost 2 full looms. I don't know if I have enough of my beads for 2 full looms. I have done 1 loom and it was proven to be almost half of my wrist size. Okay, and then we do this one. Okay, so let's finish those 2 single chains all the way up to the end of our loom, and I'll meet you back up there. Okay, so for closure at the end of our loom, I'm just going to go down to the 2nd to the last peg on the 2nd and 5th pin bar, so on these 2 that we have the single chains. And now we're going to place our jump rings. So the jump rings that I'm going to use are just 20 gauge heavy duty jump rings, silver. So there's a couple ways you can do this, but easiest is just to take two bands, kind of squeeze them in the middle, and put those two bands through like that. And then you want to take the same band on each side. So you see that that's one, and I want to pinch it, and that's the other one. So you don't want to get those mixed up, so you have it even on your jump ring. And you want to count up to your third pegs, and you want to put those on the second and fifth pin bar like that. Okay, and it's going to lie in between two pegs, so it'll lie nice and straight. So we want to do that on every other peg. So we just put them in there. And grab both ends, skip a peg, and go to the next. So one thing I want to caution you about is if you are using jump rings, like these are jump rings because they're split rings, they have a split in them. You have to really make sure that that split is closed all the way, because the smallest little crack when you stretch a band, oh trust me, it can go right through it, and then your bracelet will fall apart. And I've added jump rings to large bracelets, and it's the same as forgetting to loom a band. It just will fall apart, and you have no reason why until you figure that's what it was. Alright, so I'll do one more with you, because it's not that difficult. Just remember, every other peg, 8mm is a good size, 6mm. I went, oops, I'm sorry. I think I might have went 6, I'm not sure, but the last one I did was a little too small. So I think 8 is a good size. So we'll continue doing that all the way up, and it's every other. So when you get to the end, if you end up at the last peg being that every other one to place it, make sure you place it there. All right, we have all of our jump rings placed, and the last one, I wasn't sure or not, but the last one does fall on the last two pegs that we're using. Okay, so that is right. So we have all of them placed, and we have two really simple steps to go, and then we will be finished. So next step, everywhere you have where you placed a jump ring, we're placing a band that's going to go out diagonally to the side. Okay, so in essence, it's every other peg, but everywhere you have a jump ring, just throw a band out to the side. I'm going to use the same color as the single chains, and then I used metallic silver on my jump ring bands. Okay, and then it is the same on this side. Oopsie. Alright, so we have that step done. And I used the wrong kind of band. So if you got them, we want thick bands. That's right. Okay, last step. We're going to place these bands with our beads. So mine is considered a 6mm, but they kind of scare me because the fattest part of it to me is almost 8mm, so it's a big bead. So we're going to place it from the first peg, go around the second, and place it on that third peg. Sorry, I should have done this side. So we place it on the first peg, we go around the second, and place it on the third peg, like that. And then where you left off is where you begin. So we left off on that third peg, start there, go around, like that. So Loomer of Norway strongly suggests that if you have it available to use the LE bands, as I mentioned. So I don't really care for every color of the LE family, but I did find these glitter white almost, but they're out of the Enchanted, I believe, pack or something. So I got away with it. So these are LE bands. And I do agree with her, the outcome is totally different. Alright, but there are like 2 of them. No, there's 4 that I didn't have left. So by the look of the eye, they are the same look as the glitter white bands. So I'm going to place the last 2 that are the decoy LE bands at the end. So that would be 1, 2. But don't tell anybody. Don't tell Loomer of Norway. Holy cow. So that is a... No, it's not. I have... like... There we go. It's really stretchy. So my last 2 on each side I need to do with this metallic glitter white. Alright, so that's one whole side done, and the last of the band should end up on that last peg where everything else has ended. So go ahead and place your bands on the other side, and then we can start the looming. Okay, so I turn my loom around. That's what your loom should look like. And we can start looping. So we don't need a cap band, and we won't even loom half of the bands that are on here. So what we want to do is all of our outer pin bars, the bottom band on the every other pin is this band that's going vertically across, or not vertically, but it's going diagonally across. So which means we want to go underneath the band that has our bead on it and grab that diagonal band and loom it back to itself. And that's what we're going to do with every one of those bands up the loom. So always remember the top band is the beaded band. So make sure you're going under everything on that pin to get to that band there. So essentially they act as a cap band. And I had to cut mine too short. I'm not going to loom this over. We'll wait until we do our chains. I had to cut mine too short because I didn't have as many beaded bands as I thought. So mine is a little bit shorter down here. But you just do the same on this side. So you're going in, and the cap band is that bead band. And grab that diagonal back to itself. Oof. It's hard for me to see this one. Okay, so we'll continue that on our own, and then I'll meet you back down here, and we've got one last step to do, and we will be completed. Okay, once we have that done, our last step is to loom up the 2nd and 5th pin bar single chains. I've already done my left one, and so I can just do this one with you, and that will conclude the looping. So you just want to go on every other band. We have some bands on every other peg. We have some bands on there, so just make sure that you are grabbing the last band on that peg. If it makes the teardrop, you know you're good, but you're just looming that single chain to the top. So in essence, how cool is this bracelet that we placed all of these bands, and yet we're only looming up 2 steps. I think it's pretty cool. So we don't touch the beaded border bands, and we don't touch the jump ring bands. All right, so let's bring this one and this one, and then this one goes up to the last row. So now you can go over to this right peg and bring this one in, and then another one into the center. Since I've already loomed up my left single chain, I did that side as well. So you can go ahead and pause it to complete the other side. But I am going to go ahead, oops, I already did put a clothesband on here. Going to grab my closure band, make sure I've got all my bands in there. And for once, I'm sitting at my actual loom desk, my loom station, so I can get a C-clip. I can put that C-clip on there. Like that. And we're good to go to take it off the loom. Not sure if I want to pull it off, just because I don't want to stretch any bands out of place. Would probably be more so my issue. I don't have any doubt in the integrity of the bands. Maybe pull them off the last. The 2 outside rows. Maybe we'll try that. Oof, that scared me. I thought it wasn't looped. And I just always take off the beginning pegs and then come back. I mean, you could seriously pull this off your loom. I doubt it's going to hurt it. It's such a loose stitch bracelet. But I'm a scaredy cat. Now I feel okay to pull it. So remember, anytime you're pulling, you're going to pull up and back and then shake from side to side. just wanted to do that because I haven't done it in so long. Look how gorgeous this is, honestly. I mean, come on. This is like as easy as my retro bracelet. I am so proud of Loomer of Norway. Anything that's easy and it doesn't require a lot of bands, I super love, because there are a lot of loomers out there that do not have access to, you know, a lot of the bands that we do here in the States. So that is it. So the one thing that Loomer of Norway had suggested and likes is that the way these beads end up, they don't end up in the center. You know how anytime we pull a bracelet apart off the loom, the beads are crooked? Well, she actually prefers them that way. So I'm just going to help out and do it a little bit more. And this, I agree with her, does give more of a lacy look. So I want to do this side, and my beads are super large and have a large hole, so they might not stay as well as a bead with a tighter hole. It might move around on me. Yeah, that one looks like it's already back into place. So you just want to do that if you want that lacy effect. If you do not want it, then you can just simply place your bling in the center of those bands. And then naturally, if you have any bands that need to be untwisted, you'll want to do that. I still like to go ahead and pull on each one of these in the chain just to fluff them up. You don't have much meat to this bracelet. So that kind of helps add in some space. And if you notice on this side, it hides the band that is joining your jump ring. And if you turn it over, it's pretty much doing the same. Excuse me. But to me, it looks like it's the back. But I really don't think it has a back. I think that it's pretty much, excuse me, pretty much the same on both sides. So just like I said, I'm just kind of like fluffing it out a little bit, especially where I have the jump rings, because I don't want that band to show anywhere except in the center where the jump ring is. So you see, like right there, you can see that band. So I just want to kind of pull my single chain bands and fluff them out so that hides that chain more, or that band. And then of course, if I have any bands that need to be untwisted, and they should all be even too. So there's a lot of times, even if you have bands that don't twist, if you notice, a lot of times your single chain, a couple links will be small and a couple will be larger. I find doing this makes them all even. And for the most part, that's it. So I had to end mine 2 links or 2 pins shorter. So it is just a tad small, but that's okay because I can just put a really nice clasp on the end of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed making this super beautiful bracelet. And we want to make sure that we do give our thanks to Loomer of Norway. Remember, her name has changed since Instagram was playing tricks on her and giving her a hard time with her account. So make sure that you do give her a thumbs up and a follow. Definitely worth it. Beautiful, easy design. Make sure you hashtag your renditions on Instagram and Facebook. Would love to see the color combos and bling that you guys come up with. So thanks again for watching and stay tuned. We have lots more coming. Bye-bye.